What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Stardust here, and to prepare you for the Red Room Takeover event Part 1 this Thursday, or tomorrow, depending on when you're seeing this anyway. If you're seeing it on release, it's tomorrow, or if you've seen it after the event, then it's still a good build. This is the Red Room Takedown build, and this is basically getting your heroics up as much as possible, and the gameplay you'll see on the screen will reflect that, but we'll go into more detail now with specific skills, with the gear, and everything else that you may want. I'll see you guys in a bit. I hope you enjoy the video. I think the best way to do this, folks, will be to look through the gameplay as we're doing it. So as you can see here, I'm playing the Gathering of Evil thing. I've got myself a damage buff via the pistol. I'm activating the damage buffs and stuff like that. I figured I'd do a little commentary as we're walking through it here. So as you can see, 2 heroic orbs spawn. Now, of course, if you noticed, there is a 35% chance, while invisible, to activate a heroic orb from defeating an enemy. Takedown will, of course, also include a heroic orb as well, but we'll get into all that juicy stuff momentarily here. So as you can see, that was a nice little example of that. I opened the chest real quick. Doubt I get anything spectacular. I was correct on that one. As you can see, I've just got all these spare orbs. Now, if you're playing online, of course, you can get all your teammates to pick them up, any ones that you don't need or whatever. Or if one of your teammates are running the Brooklyn Brawler Captain America heroic build, you can obviously connect with that as well. But this is going to be where you'll fully see a showcase of this build quite a bit. So we're going to come into this area here. Instantly activate it. I could have done a takedown there, but obviously I just wanted to kind of get into the nitty gritty. You'll notice that due to a lot of stun damage, which again I'll go into the skills shortly, there's a crazy amount of takedown opportunities. Already got a bunch of orbs as well. Of course, the invisibility doesn't last too long. That's just a thing that happens, but obviously you see here, boom, already got it back. There we go. It's really nice stuff. This build isn't like a massive boss killer build. I just want to put that out there. You don't know one-shotting people and stuff like that, but it's a very good support sort of build, and it's one that doesn't require a lot of resolve. But obviously, if you're finding yourself getting wrecked by bosses and stuff, then obviously we'll go through all that shortly. I'm wiping out everyone here, having a little dance in the air, knocking that robot down. As you can see, all the heroics are already back. I don't feel like I've spent any moment without heroics, which is always nice. But right, let's get into the skills and everything else you can do what I'm doing here. So let's start off with the first piece for this build here. We have the lightweight buff gloves. I was very lucky enough to get this out of a Tachyon Rift mission. Of course, we just had the Tachyon Anomaly event, so if you guys wanted any cosmic stuff, I would have highly recommended you guys get into that. But it's a bit late for me to recommend it now, But obviously, hopefully you're able to reap the benefits of that event. Might 53, Valor 55, very high to be honest with you, especially for a legendary piece, which is always good. 18.7% chance light combo finishes grant a damage buff. That's the reason why when I was using the power surge ability, I wasn't doing any heavy attacks. I was going just pure light combo finishes to keep getting that damage buff, rather than stopping the flow of it to pull out the pistols to keep doing that. And obviously, light combo finishes inflict cosmic. This obviously allows that battery effect type thing with natural shock, which is always good, and 12.5% increased stun damage from sprint and dodge attacks. That just, it's a nice bit of stun, but it doesn't really add so much. But that's the first piece of this build. Now this is an absolute fantastic ranged piece here for this melee build, essentially, even though it's more takedowns or heroics and stuff like that. But I'd definitely say, obviously, melee, more so than anything in my opinion. But here we've got proficient buff, 17.5% chance range power attacks, granted damage buff. That's how I managed to do it at the start, the very first gameplay I showed, where I managed to do a ranged power attack with my pistols. Shot them up and got the damage buff from that. Range attacks with full auto shot deal plasma damage. That's battery effects, that's always good. And chance defeating enemies in a weak point grants a damage buff. Now, I don't know if I've really been able to truly benefit from that, but I mean, like 8.4% is not very high anyway. But 34 might, proficiency 43, valor 40, really good stats. Really, you know, it's a nice, plain and simple piece of gear that kind of tells you exactly why I want it right off the bat. Now, of course, it being a melee build does indeed mean that we do need a bit of resolve on there. Now, this build isn't stacked with resolve, as you can clearly see by the stats. Of course, you know, I'll go through all that in a moment, but this is sort of a big piece here. Natalia's cloak, which I do believe I got from the Mega Hive. I want to say, I do believe I either got it from the Mega Hive or the priority missions that obviously gave out Mega Hive stuff. So, 62 intensity, 62 resolve, 18% chance when perfect evading an incoming attack to activate a Jarvis barrier. That's the beautiful thing about it as well, is that obviously when you're doing melee, you're going to be evading a lot most of the time. So it's kind of like, it's quite easy to activate, really. And a lightning potentate, increase the amount of shock damage dealt with any attack by 20%. It's obviously good for Black Widow because she does a lot of shock damage naturally, and 30% increased status damage from Shadow Ops attacks. Now that is essentially Black Widow's overcharge, so you'll be able to get that obviously through Power Surge and stuff like that, but you know, it's not really a status build, so it's a nice little piece, do not get me wrong, but it isn't, you know, it's nothing like ridiculous, you know what I mean? But like, this is a really good piece, and I definitely recommend that if you want to do any kind of melee with Widow, or to be fair, all ranged, you know what I mean? This is definitely a really good chess piece. Now, I'm not sure where I got this gear piece, but it is insanely good. Like, Natasha's Coil, Might 61, Proficiency 65. This really boosts up the heroic charge of everything. You can already see it here, right? You know, 50% increased heroic charge rate when Shadow Ops is active, increases charge rate of heroic assault ability by 18%, and the same with ultimate down below 5 stars. Now, obviously, without this gear piece, you would not see the heroics go up as quick as they did, so please make sure to pick this up if you're wanting to go ham on this build. That is my best recommendation, that is my suggestion. This will get you to where you want to be in regards to this build. Now we're going to go through the skills. Obviously, I'm not going to go through primary because all that stuff is, you know, already unlocked. But I'm only going to go through the more important stuff. You know, as I mentioned in my last build video, I believe it was Iron Man. I just go through the important stuff and other things you absolutely need. So, you noticed that in the video I did at the start, I was hitting people with takedowns and getting 2 heroic orbs. Now, if you want that, enemies defeated while Veil of Shadows, which your invisibility is active, have a 35% chance to drop heroic orbs. So, if you want that, I highly recommend activating that to obviously boost up your heroic abilities. So here we go, in the Assault heroic ability, we've got Widow's Bite inflicts 40% more stun damage, increasing the chance to stun enemies. Now, I didn't use any Widow's Bite in the gameplay that you had seen earlier, however I do believe that when you're in a big crowd of people, you use that Widow's Bite. I've got the Widow's Bite where it's a punch, not like a shoot sort of effect. So obviously, you know, that works into the melee side of things as well, but that does a lot of damage, clears, you know, the way, and of course, because of that, I'm able to bin everyone off, you know what I mean? Get out of the way, get them all stunned, do a bunch of takedowns, and again, increase that heroic orb and heroics potential. So this is the next one. This one's pretty simple as well. This one's the Kilowatt. This is in the ultimate heroic ability section. Increases stun damage while Power Surge is active by 30%. Of course, you'll notice as well in the gameplay you saw that when I was whacking people with the long staff thingy my bob, it was coming up with takedowns a lot more often. Obviously, doing those takedowns will then also give me more heroic orbs. So obviously, what you're doing is you're essentially bouncing between having invisibility on for more heroic orbs, Power Surge to do more damage on enemies, to do more takedowns, beat them up, just to unlock more orbs. It's literally endless, you know. That's the point of this build. So I highly recommend sticking this on your Black Widow if you want to do what I'm doing here. Now we move over to the Mastery tab. So of course you remember how a heroic charge boosts up with Shadow Ops as well as you get that little status damage. Well, takedowns boost an increased amount of intrinsic Shadow Ops energy by 20%. points. Now, we're doing takedowns very often, which means Shadow Ops is going to be something quite easy to collect as well. Don't need no intrinsics, as in like intrinsic orbs. You literally just do the takedowns and you'll keep granting those 20 points to lead up to your Shadow Ops to increase your heroic charge rate. So again, everything is helping towards building that heroic rate. And now, similar to obviously what we've seen before, increases the rate at which heroic energy recharges while overcharged by 15%. So, of course, you know, it balances exactly with the Shadow Ops thing you see in the gear. It's even more heroic rating going up as the takedowns overcharge me. So the takedowns give me heroic orbs and overcharge me. The overcharge gives me even more heroic energy and, you know, recharges that even faster. So that's pretty crazy. This is another important one, of course, while I'm invisible, increasing the stun damage with the power surge thing as well. So obviously 30%, you know, stun damage with the power surge, and this increases that and stacks, which of course opens up for more takedowns as well. All of this is to just build towards takedowns at the end of the day. And again, another boost in heroic energy recharge rate when something's activated. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've got the 2 with overcharged and Shadow Ops, and we've got this one as well. And collecting orbs with the Ring of Nebulon, which is my major artifact. Guess, it's actually ridiculous how much, like, it's literally inviting you to do these ridiculous builds, and that is one thing I do appreciate about this game, you know. So if you want to be OP and just never get touched and just spam your ultimates, this game just gives you the chance to do it. So obviously, you know, put this on and again you'll be at the races. Now I think this one is probably going to be the most obvious one. Performing a takedown force enemy to drop an heroic orb. So obviously you've got the one that will pop out from the 35% chance with the invisibility. And you got this one as well, which is a guarantee. So every single takedown will spawn a heroic orb. This one, another fairly simple but important one, stacks with all the other stun damage that you get, increases stun damage by 15%. Always good to just keep on stacking when you're doing builds like this. And here is the final one of the Red Room Takedown Black Widow build. Now, this one isn't that important, but I think it is because of the gear that I've got. So obviously, if you guys remember, light combo finishers grant a damage buff and cosmic effect. So I figured, why not? Increases damage from light combo finishers or heavy combo finishers by 25%. You know, if you want to do a bit of status when you're in that Shadows Ops thing, you know, you're stacking with, shock from, all of Black Widow's potential shock damage abilities, no matter what you want to do. And then you slam that light combo finisher on, man. And if you don't, then just do the light combo finisher, then heavy attack, because that's that gives you a shock effect. And you've got some status damage in there as well, in case you're in a bit of an awkward spot and for some reason your heroics just aren't playing ball. So that's it with the Red Room Takedown build. This has been really fun to do. I've really enjoyed this build. I've really enjoyed crafting it. I've really enjoyed doing a different kind of build. 'Cause you see a lot of boss killer builds on YouTube. You know, you see ones that like do mental damage. This one isn't necessarily crazy damage, but it's still crazy in a different aspect, you know. So what I was going to say earlier, before I leave, this is a bit of a disclaimer, but you'll notice that the defense rate is quite low. Now, if you're struggling with a boss, right, say you're Abomination, who is probably the most annoying to fight with a melee character, then just swap out one of the melee ISO pieces that I had for a resolve piece. You know, simple as that. You know, 3 stack, 2 stack. With the Black Widow ones, I don't have any stats on those might pieces, so I didn't feel like there was any point in showing them. But they are might pieces, so make sure to grab 2 of them, or 1 of them, and a resolve piece. Just little quick disclaimers, again, I don't want to go through them too deeply, because I feel like as long as I get the right beats, the build is still there. And a lot of people, I find, don't want to sit there and listen to like every single thing, especially if it's not absolutely important to the build. So I thought that was quite important to do today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Enjoy Red Room Takeover. I'll do a little review on it after it's been out for a couple of days. Well, part 1 anyway. And thank you guys. I'll see you later. Peace.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.